After tracking every dollar I spent for 90 days, I realized something most people completely miss. Budgeting apps aren't actually designed to help you save money. They're designed to keep you engaged, confused, and coming back. That's why almost everyone who uses them eventually quits. And the ones who don't still aren't getting ahead. Because the problem was never the app. It's what the app quietly trains you to do. And once you see it, you can't unsee it.
You think your budgeting app is helping you? It's not. It's quietly making you fucking broke, and you don't even see it happening. I'd color code my categories and I'd track my coffees and still end up broke by Tuesday.
3 weeks in, I started noticing something weird. So I wasn't just using these apps, I was relying on them. Every purchase, every coffee, every subscription. Logged, tracked, categorized. I tested 6 different apps: Mint, YNAB, PocketGuard, and a few others. And I expected the same thing most people expect. Clear answers, where your money's going, what to fix, what to cut, something that actually forces change. But that's not what happened. What I got instead was something completely different. Every app looked polished, clean charts, colorful dashboards. Everything felt like progress, but nothing was actually changing. Notifications would pop up. Spending is higher than usual. Food category exceeded. Useless, because they never told me what to actually do about it. And the way they categorized things made it worse. A $5 coffee gets highlighted, but a $200 random expense gets buried, so you feel like you're managing money, when you're really just reacting to noise. And here's where it gets dangerous. I was opening these apps constantly, checking, scrolling, adjusting, getting that little hit of control, like I was being responsible, but my spending didn't change at all, not even a little. That's when it clicked. These apps aren't designed to fix your behavior. They're designed to keep you engaged, because the more you open them, the more you depend on them, and the longer you stay stuck in the same cycle, watching your money instead of controlling it. But here's where it gets worse. The apps weren't just failing to help. They were making simple decisions harder. Week 4 of my experiment, I tried something basic: tracking groceries. With pen and paper, it took 30 seconds. Write it down, done. But inside the apps, it turns into a whole process. First, you pick a category, groceries, or food and dining. Then you hesitate. What about the shampoo you grabbed? Does that belong somewhere else? Now you're splitting transactions, adjusting percentages, second-guessing everything. What should take seconds now takes minutes. And they convince you this is a good thing. More detail means better insight. Sounds smart, but it's wrong. I tested it. Same week, 2 methods. One simple, just wrote everything down. One inside the apps, perfect categories, fully organized. Only one changed my behavior, the simple one, because when things are simple, you actually see what's happening. No noise, no overthinking, just the truth. I was spending about $40 more per week than I thought, and I caught it immediately. Not because of some advanced chart, but because I was actually paying attention. That's the part nobody talks about. These apps slowly train you to stop thinking. You start trusting the system, the categories, the insights, instead of your own awareness. And once that happens, you're not in control anymore. You're just monitoring. And that's exactly where they want you. Dependent, checking the app, looking for answers it was never built to give. Because the more complicated it feels, the more you assume the solution is inside the app. When the reality is the opposite, the simpler it is, the more likely you are to actually change. Be honest, how many times have you opened a budgeting app this week, checked your numbers, then changed nothing? Not your spending, not your habits, nothing. That's not a you problem. That's exactly how these apps are designed. And once you see why, everything starts to make sense. But then I figured out why they don't fix it. Month 2 of my experiment, I stopped looking at my money and started looking at theirs. Because these apps don't make money when you succeed. They make money when you stay. Subscriptions, monthly, annual, predictable revenue. But here's the part most people miss. If you fix your spending, you don't need the app anymore. You cancel. Revenue gone. So the incentive isn't to solve your problem. It's to keep you inside it. And I saw this pattern everywhere. The simplest apps, the ones that actually made things clear, people used them, got results, then left. Low retention. But the apps that felt complicated, the ones with more features, more steps, more insights, those kept people paying month after month because nothing ever fully clicked. So you stay, hoping the next update fixes it. I tested this directly. Which apps sent the most notifications? Which ones took the longest to do simple tasks? Which ones felt the most overwhelming? Same pattern every time. The more confusing the app, the longer people stayed, because confusion creates dependency. If you don't understand your money, you keep checking the app, looking for answers, and the app becomes the middleman between you and your own finances. And that's just the surface, because subscriptions aren't even the real business. Your data is every purchase, every category, every mistake. It all gets turned into behavior, aggregated, packaged, and sold. Banks, credit companies, marketers. The more you interact, the more valuable you become, not as someone improving their finances, but as someone generating data. And I noticed something else. Right around week 8, the same app started pushing upgrades. Premium insights, advanced tracking, smarter categorization, all promising to finally make it click. But all they did was add more layers, more steps, more confusion. Because if it ever became simple, you'd leave. And they can't have that. That's when it all clicked. These apps aren't broken, they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. Keep you engaged, not in control. Week 6, that's when it got obvious. The notifications. I started paying attention to every single one. Every buzz, every alert. They all looked helpful. But they weren't. Spending is higher than usual. Food budget at 80%. Complete your profile for better insights. They weren't warnings. They were triggers, designed to pull you back in over and over. So I tested it. I turned them off. 3 days. That's it. And everything changed. I stopped opening the apps constantly. No random checks. No mindless scrolling through charts. And here's the weird part. My awareness actually went up because nothing was interrupting me anymore. No noise, no distractions, just my decisions. That's when it clicked. The notifications weren't helping me manage money. They were training me to depend on the app. With them on, I was checking constantly, dozens of times a day. And every time felt justified. It's about my money. I should check. But I wasn't checking my money. I was checking them, their charts, their categories, their insights, getting pulled deeper into their system. And the more I checked, the less I actually thought. That's the trade-off. They make you feel responsible. While quietly taking control, every notification reinforces the same idea. You need this app to stay on track. But the moment I removed that interruption, something changed. I stopped reacting and started deciding. And once that happens, you realize something most people never see. You don't need constant reminders. You need clarity. And the app was the thing getting in the way. By day 90, I had my answer, and it wasn't what I expected. The best system I found wasn't inside any app. It was the one I built by accident. While testing everything else, 3 numbers, every day, written down. That's it. What I spent, what I had left, what I was aiming for. No categories, no charts, no insights, just awareness. And it outperformed everything, because most people think they need better tools. But the people who actually change their spending, they're not using more features. They're paying attention, in real time, to their own decisions. That's what I noticed in month 3. Every time I opened an app, I stepped away from my money and into their system. But when I wrote it down, I stayed connected. No distractions, no interpretation, just the truth. And that's the difference. Apps train you to check, but checking isn't control. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. Because the solution was never more data. It was less noise, not better categories, just better awareness. And once you have that, you stop needing the app, which is exactly why they don't lead you there. Because a system that works doesn't keep you subscribed, it sets you free. And that's the real answer. Budgeting apps aren't worth it. If your goal is to actually change your behavior, and if you want more breakdowns like this, where we actually look at what's worth it and what isn't, make sure you're subscribed, because the next one, on credit monitoring, might be even worse than this.